No, a woman.
I don't see any flashing lights
I was just
outside,
saying,
so.
did you see him parked on the rock?
Yeah.
Yes. Alright, we're good.
Okay, pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everybody who showed up.
It's nice to see you.
Sarah, I think we need more clips. I'll do the first one then. I'll do the actual payroll checks.
You can read.
Oh, this is the.
You're
this
the
is
reader.
The Bob job?
That's the Bob job.
This is,
Okay.
there's gonna be some learning happening here.
So you
Ready?
read the
I'm gonna read
actual
the
amount
name
of the
and-
check. Yes,
The name and the amount.
yes.
Andrea Beckham, $636.14. Joseph Bird, 1096.74. Caden Blazek Ahern, 634.27. Kendra Brockett, 524.21. John Bryan, 543.03. Gloria Buendia Becerra, 367.79. Karen Clement, 1098.37.
On here, it's just 1098.
They didn't give her the 37 cents?
No.
Go ahead. Write it on there, we'll give her the 37 cents.
Jeffrey Collins, 692.43. Katie Coppola, 256.97. Alyssa Sanuski, 182.85. Michael Dame, 706.19. Jocelyn Dennehy, 264.03. Kiki Doniswall, 232.73. Robert Gagnon Jr., 316.12. Jason Gagnon, 444.71. Andrew Gray, 478.47. Alex Hall, 378.53. Mary Lyons Hall, 193.93. Kip Kaiser, 773.01. Joyce Kegel, 530.35. Good?
Yep.
Matt Kelly, 681.27. Kevin Nealon, 958.80. Heather Lindsay, 640.86. Sawyer Marquis, 83.77. Robert McCon, 83.46. Sarah Parkhurst, 588.61. Wayne Robinson, 946.12. Steven Sforza, 1467.32. Cameron Spiller, 283.97. Christopher Spitaleri, 1211.94. Sophia Streck, 243.94. Madison Taylor, 149.61. Katarina Tennant, 435.06. Olivia Wall, 81.91. Dan Wicks, 1676.98. Janice Weirs, 779.19. Jeremy Wister, 152.87. Daphne Wass, 711.27. Jared Wright Ward, 932.30.
For a total of $22,460.12. We have two checks. Addison McNeil, $73.80. Kristen Patch, $497.80. for a grand total of $23,031.80. Yeah, yes, thank you.
Ready?
Good.
Air Gas USA 67.50. AT&T Mobility 877.03. Bell and Flynn $102,768.27. Joseph Bolduc $625. John Bryan 38.30. Gloria Buendia Becerra, 47.15. Casella Waste Systems, 28,060.92. Citizens Bank, 1,790.89. C&M Cleaning, 1,770.01. Dragon Mosquito Control, 5,650. E&J Auto Parts, 13.59. Exeter Hospital, 997.94. First Light, 172.91. Freedom Hill Consulting, 1,250. Great America Financial Services Corp., 317.09. Health Trust Inc., 93.75. Katarina Tennant, 444.50. New England Barricade, 284.02. NHTCA, $50. North Conway Grand Hotel, $273. North of Boston Media Group, $56.70.
A total of $145,648.57.
Somehow I took another stack of checks.
So, for whatever reason, when we ran payables this week, it did the checks from A through N, and then the rest of the alphabet Andy has. So there's a separate manifest, checks and bills.
It's not like big.
Okay.
We can accomplish it over here.
Yes, sir.
Revision Solar, 4,600.79. Rockingham Nutrition and Meals, 1,340. Stratum Tire, $130. UniFirst Corporation, $52.26. Valak, $246.45. Thomson Reuters West, $93.78.
For another $6,463.28.
The PD had 11.5 hours overtime, the highway had 2. And we have some rec checks.
Oh, $1.
That's why
I have to pay when they're late.
when you're late,
Yeah.
you
You put in the copies in.
they charge you.
Throwing things at me?
Yeah, I tried to. Hello.
How you doing, sir? I paid.
Oh, it's double today.
I'm only kidding.
Okay, Joyce, you're up.
You're getting harsh, man. I even forgot my drink.
Weekly treasurer's report, previous balance, $6,988,627.48. Deposits, $86,267.17. The payroll is $23,031.80. Payroll tax, $5,489.96. The AP is $372,376.85. With a check, with an ACH payment to Swayze for $220,265. Account balance is $6,673,996.04. Our current interest year-to-date is $288.20.
Thank you, Joyce.
Thanks, John, for having me.
Oh, wait, I have one more thing. I have a letter of credit release from the planning board. They are looking to authorize the release of funds from a line of credit to Diamond Realty which was issued on July 1, 2004. The request is due to completion of the work of the project and receipt of the non-renewal, non-extension letter received from the bank. So they're looking to release $22,500.
Motion,
Motion.
do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Building permits. Gary Denson, Crawley Falls Road, new dwelling. Matthew Campione, 34 Peabody Drive, electrical for basement remodel. Peter Cambarella, 72 Hague Road, install 22 kilowatt generator. Tim Anderson, 25 Peabody Drive, plumbing for 2 bathrooms. First Baptist Church, 201 North Road, new barn roof. Mayshawn Bonafide, 131 Pickpocket Road, pool with deck and fence. Edward Fleisch, 50 Prescott Road, new deck and staircase. Julie Dion, 108 Lake Road, finished room above garage. And Tim Anderson, 25 Peabody Drive, replace exhaust fans, devices, and install shower cans.
Were there 2 for Tim Anderson?
Yes.
That wasn't redundant.
2 different services? What do you always say at this point?
Motion for the minutes.
Do you have a second?
It's still working over here.
You're still working?
I second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We also had,
Motion for non-public.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As soon as we stop working, we'll get to the notes. The first note is the National Night Out is at the BRC on August 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. This is a BOS meeting night. Do you want to meet at 4 so you and your families can attend this event? And I say yes.
Do we wanna just have a no agenda night and meet there at 5 o'clock and sign payroll and AP?
What do you think of that?
Whatever you want,
I don't know if everybody can make a 4 o'clock meeting, that's,
that's fine.
Well, why don't we just meet here at 5, sign the payroll, then everything will be here where it belongs. Any problem with that?
No.
So is that a motion?
moved.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. I'm going to be traveling, so can I have an option of dialing in or whatever?
Well, we're not gonna have an agenda, we're just gonna sign the manifest.
Oh, sorry. If I was paying attention, that would have been, I would have been on
So
that.
you're good, man.
All right,
I want to zoom in just to hang out with you guys for a little
no
Submit
Zoom.
his work. Hi, we signed stuff, John, we're good. Maybe you can do an electronic signature.
I don't know what we have to do for the next one. All wetland permits have been issued by New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. They are valid for 5 years from the date of insurance.
I assume that means about Mill Road Bridge.
So that project is now shovel ready as soon as we can find a contractor to do that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Alright.
Based on our last meeting, when we had the information from the woman from Abbey Road, you'll find 2 pages attached talking about Abbey and Wilson Way, and if you'll read the note that was presented by Karen, it appears that there's an assessment range between 266 and 288 difference, and it usually is a finished basement, a finished attic. What was the other thing you said?
An additional bathroom in the basement.
Additional bathroom. So she was complaining about her mother's assessment, but it's in the range. Any comments?
Is that 266,000?
Yeah, so the spread is 266,000.
I was thinking dollars.
No K,
At
K,
the
yeah.
high.
Yeah.
So it accounts for about 200 square feet of finished living space plus a bathroom
Okay.
for those
Well-
that are on the higher end.
How old is it?
The thing that's attached goes from anywhere from 225 to 404,000.
You're talking about Wilson.
Oh, this is
I
Wilson
see.
Way, I'm sorry.
So just Abbey and Windsor.
Wrong page.
Okay. The Gardner Street is currently a road named in Exeter. The developers have proposed Tara Lane, she's the granddaughter.
Tanya Lane?
Tanya Lane.
In
Tanya, Tara.
T-A-T-O. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, motion is, as long as everyone's comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to name it something else after somebody else,
Well, no,
founding father or something.
we'll keep it in the family.
Okay, alright, works for me,
We
motion.
have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're closing out the fire department's COVID vaccine grant. Payroll expenses total $46,724.44. We need to vote to increase the fire department's budget by that, and the money came from the fund.
I make a motion for the 46,724.44 increase in their budget.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Alright,
Aye.
thank you.
Okay, Joe. The mowing contract expires this year. Did you have time to read it online the other day?
I did not.
It's very similar to what we had last year, or 3 years ago, but
So we're gonna send out an RFP for that?
yeah, the RFP was sent out.
Okay.
Any questions?
When do we get that back?
I will put it out to bid if you guys approve and I'm requesting bids come back for August 17th.
Alright.
So now
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
Or are you good? So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Alright.
When does the current contract expire?
It'll go at the end of this mowing season, so this will be to start in the spring and then go for 3 years from there.
We have some documents to sign.
We did the letter of credit already. This is the settlement agreement. Again, they forgot to issue one of the docket numbers.
Okay.
And they want all 5 of you to sign instead of just the one we did the last time.
Do we have a motion to sign the document?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm signing in the right place this time.
There were 2 policies for the police SOP. They were in the mail. Did anybody get to read them?
Yeah, I read it. I have no questions.
I had no issues.
Okay.
So these, if you're comfortable adopting those, then you sign those.
Make a
If
motion.
you have questions, then you just
For both procedures.
For both.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Did you,
All in favor?
you're okay with it? You're okay with it?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye. I rely on you for.
It really wasn't much of a change.
No,
No.
it's really a minor.
Very minor.
As part of the Employee of the Month program for the PD or the Officer of the Month, they'll be issued Chief Cherry's old car. There's not a radar currently in that vehicle, so Chief would like to request $1,500 out of the detail fund to purchase a radar to put in my car.
We have the money?
Yeah, it's out of detail fund.
Moved.
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
And
Whose car did we sell?
we sold the old, it used to be
Was the old detective's car? We still had that around?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty sketch.
I thought we sold the chief's old car.
That's the one I removed the decals on, right?
yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was sketchy. I had to drive that to my house to take off decals.
There was a memo in the mail, I think 2 weeks ago from Bruce Stevens about the Rulo property on 414 to 125.
Right.
Kip went out and said that he did note some excavation that is encroaching on the boundary line, and he says that is a violation of the site plan. So I have a letter for issuing a cease and desist, that the excavation work must stop, and he has to make an appointment with the planning board so that he can amend his site plan.
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Only one signature required. That's it? Keith Berg, you're up.
Well, you can sit there, actually.
So just,
I could use this.
John, can you just grab the mic? Thanks.
yeah, this is Karen's room.
I'm sorry.
All right. Take one down and pass it around. Please feel free to ask questions anywhere in this process.
Well, share.
Do you have an extra? Karen? You didn't get one?
No.
Thought I made 6. Thought I made 6. No, here you go. You can take this one. I got an idea what I read.
She's looking for exercise. She needs
I wrote it.
100 steps to get 10,000.
I only did 4.
I
swear
I am
put
glad you
6.
continued talking because I thought you were ending it, she needs it.
The steps. This crowd is so critical.
I'm glad I was on a
I
couple.
wondered the same thing as I saw her go by. I think she needed it.
Did you have your hearing aid up?
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
good.
perfectly well.
She's just gonna play that back.
I'll make sure it's in the minutes, don't worry.
You can leave that part out.
That's awesome.
Please.
Of course.
You know, since you left, the candy has reappeared.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I
She's
don't-
trying to kill us. She put it on the side of the 2 diabetics. How that
Oh,
works?
I see that, yeah.
Well, I took my shot. How about you?
No, I took my pill.
Oh, okay.
Oh, geez, you reminds me, I do my shot. I always forget.
Well, Liz, don't you remind him?
No.
No.
She's trying to kill me.
How much money do you have?
Insurance money. it's all
Oh,
insurance.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I thought.
Make sure you listen to the recording while you're gone.
She's like, I don't have time for that. It will be at the 24th minute.
You're on, sir.
Okay, I'm here tonight to give you an overview of the status of the fire department and to see which direction you would like to see this department go. The department is made up of 32 members, including myself. Of that group, there are 2 full-time people and at the moment, 1 per diem. Command staff consists of 2 captains, 4 lieutenants. We have the EMS side that is led by 1 captain and 1 lieutenant. The fire side is led by the other captain and the 3 other lieutenants. Most are cross-trained in both fire and EMS. Also included in that number are the 2 full-time firefighters and the administrative assistant. The full-time workers work a 12-hour shift that runs 6A to 6P, and each one rotates so there is one on 7 days a week. The rotation is 3 days on and 3 days off for a total of 42-hour work week. The administrative assistant is a part-time position that is covered as needed, but generally runs Monday through Thursday. At this time, she has completed her basic EMT and has become another valuable asset to the department when we're short-handed. I also have a part-time prevention officer who works 2 afternoons a week, and they're generally Tuesdays and Thursdays. In the rest of the group, I have 2 brand-new people, one of which is already working their way through an EMT course, and for that certification, you are looking at least a year to be completed, and one that has been striving to get their EMT. I have one that has completed the fire certifications and will be working towards his EMT starting in September, and I have one that has completed their paramedic program, which is about an 18-month education, and hope to have him be a service to us. I want to state that the call I want to state that the call staff and what they are doing for the town of Brentwood is invaluable. Before I get to the per diem staff, I would like to explain that what is going on right now is not a unique situation of the town of Brentwood. There are, as the whole area is striving for staffing or starving for staffing at this time. Not just the smaller departments, but the larger ones also. The bigger departments have lowered their standards and continue to do so to get on membership. This trend is not going away in the near future. My per diem staff consists of 4 positions that are already in the budget, and they work 12 hours alongside the full-time people. Those shifts consist of 1 on and 3 off. As it stands at the moment, I have just 1 member still on the per diem shift. This leads to a gap in coverage Monday through Friday of 3.5 hours during the week, as I am covering an 8.5 hour shift. This will lead to possibly 1 person on during the week and definitely 1 person on the weekends if I can't get a person to cover that shift. When I presented the original budget to you and the budget committee, I had proposed 12-hour coverage 7 days a week. What you have in front of you, the top one, is basically what the call volume has increased, and this runs from January 1st to yesterday. You can add another 3 to the bottom of this year's total. We had covered 388 calls in 2019. In 2020, at the time frame I just gave you, we were at 399 calls and finished up the year at 711 calls for service. That doesn't include the service calls. This year, that same period, we have covered 477. As I said, you can add 3 more to that as of today. And at that rate, we will be well over 800 calls for the year. The next one that's there gives you a breakdown of the calls that we missed this year so far. In that time frame, we have missed 47 calls, as you can see. I said that when we do this, that means there's either 1 person on duty or there's nobody on duty. Of that's about 10% of my call volume at this point. And these calls, when they aren't covered by us, are covered by mutual aid. The next one shows you basically when the calls fall, and the heaviest times are between that 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night. I have been fortunate, as I said, just so that people know, I think we do a pretty good job of covering, considering out of that 477, we've missed 26 nights, and 18 during the day, just so everybody's informed.
Do you know real quick?
21 during the day.
What was
21
the-
during the day.
What was the number for 2020 and 2019 for missed
I
calls?
don't off the top of my head, sir. I don't have it with me.
That would be a correlation, because I know we increased staffing, right?
Right,
Do you know how much we increased staffing by from 2019 to now?
we increased it by, one,
The total of one, okay.
right.
One.
Well, in
One
2019, we had two
Two
full-time.
full-time, and
and a
then we
part-time
increased,
chief.
and a part-time chief, we increased it by the per diems.
And then now we have,
Slots. You're right, you got a full-time chief and 2 full-time firefighters,
and 4
and-
per diems.
supposed to have 4 per diems.
We only have one.
We got one at the
So
moment.
you're short staffed.
But if my math's right, we're missing 10% of the calls.
Yeah, that's why I wanna know what we did in 2020, if we were lower staff, what did we miss for calls? Because all that goes up to mutual aid, so same thing for 2019. If I'm using the first sheet and I'm given 3 years, I want 3 years
Yep, no, I
consistently
got you,
for everything.
I got you.
Gives me a pattern.
Problem is you had more people available in 2020 because of COVID.
Yeah.
Less people were going to work, so you had more of your call staff around.
Right. So 2019 would be beneficial.
I can get that for you.
And that was high, because that was when we started discussing it as a board, is there was a serious
Yeah,
problem.
Yeah, right.
And I think the police department runs into the same thing with finding people.
Right.
Well, what'd you tell me a couple
There's a
weeks
need
ago?
everywhere.
The state has 164 openings or something?
172 was, as of a week ago.
So we're competing with the biggies and the small ones.
To give you an idea, Hampton's gone to a firefighter EMT, and they're willing to wait on a firefighter 2, and they're willing to wait for them to get an advanced. That's how the
That's the
standard.
lower
dropped.
standard.
That's the lowest. You actually have to be firefighter 2 to get into the state retirement system. So I'm not exactly sure how they work in that one, giving them within a year to get into it. There's certain requirements to be in the state retirement system. Firefighter 2 is one of them. Again, to pass the CPET test. And most places are looking for medical people. My 3 calls today were all medical.
So what's your magical portion?
My magical solution? I don't have one. If I had a crystal ball, I'd be making a fortune.
I would pick the lottery numbers when you
Right, exactly. I had originally intended to go forward with a grant for the process. The problem with the grant is if you do that now, and you decide further down the road which is the direction everybody's headed, and you commit yourself to 2 people and they give you the grant, they may not give you another one when you come back the next time for a manpower issue. In that case, what I had decided to come back with was basically 2 people during the day to cover those 12-hour shifts, to pair the guys up, and continue to rely on the call department at night. And that was the direction I was headed.
You think if we increase the salary range, that would help assist you?
There again, I haven't sat down and done a complete study on that. That was part of what we're doing this fall. I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna have to start comparing it to the bigger towns if you wanna get anybody. And the other attraction to the bigger towns is 24 hours a day.
Oh, of course.
So you're working 8 days a month.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of overtime at the moment. I know a Hampton firefighter that's grumbling because there's way too much of it. And he's at the point that he's being mandated to be held over, so.
Refresh us, what is the on-call rate?
The on-call rate varies depending on your skill levels. I'm up to 19, 20 or so, and it starts out about 12, if I remember correctly off the top of my head.
So is that a direction we want to think about?
Well, our current problem is per
can't
diem.
get
If
bodies.
we can't get if we're 3 people per diem short, that's our problem.
No, I understand that, but
We have a good call staff,
We've got a good call staff. The call staff isn't complaining. I'd love to get them a raise. There's not a question about that. The problem is if the majority of the calls are falling between the days, And the weekend's brutal when you got one person here by yourself.
Are you seeing a lot more calls with, how many homes did we get into Three Ponds? Was there 111 over there or
I've
something?
only been in there, I was in today, I've been in there probably half a dozen times.
When it's
since I've
all
been
said and done, it's gonna be 117.
117?
there. Is it 117?
Yeah, I believe that. Well, you know, they're on their third iteration.
There's 65 in there now, I thought it was less than that, I thought they got 51 more coming, I think there's 65 in there now. 107, 117.
Yeah.
It'd be really useful from my perspective just to see that comparison between the other towns.
Sure.
And also what Bob was talking about, like, the call volume is up significantly in terms of just the proportionality between it's risen 50% in 2 years.
Yep.
That's not insignificant. And I'd like to see how many calls we're missing and comparing that
Sure,
to.
I can get that for you.
Well, there's been a growth in the town in addition to Three Ponds.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys, if we're 3 per diem short, we're getting 50% more call volume in 2 years.
Right.
That's extraordinary.
Big time.
We just,
But not only just growth, you have more people around because more people working from home, more
That's
people
true.
are homeschooling. So your population during the day where they used to leave town,
Used to be a bedroom town, now
Right.
it's a.
now you have more people in town.
Yeah, this was all established originally just for
You saying
that
that that's
purpose,
short-term?
because it
I don't
became.
know, like, if I ran a company and I found out that all I had to do was pay somebody's internet bill instead of hundreds of $1,000s for office space, and people were just as productive, I wouldn't buy an office building, I would let them stay at home and pay their $100 Comcast bill a month.
And I know, just my company alone, they've shut down 2 offices, because they're.
I haven't been on an airplane in a year and a half.
Yeah, they're just saying, we don't need the office space, people can work from home. If they have to, they'll rent something from Regis.
I had a home office for 14 years until I retired. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get those numbers and
Yep, I can get you the numbers. No problem.
Can I say a dirty word?
What's that?
Regionalization?
I was gonna ask
Oh.
about,
The
like,
problem,
is there a
and
county idea
I'll
for fire?
I'll throw that out here, and I'll just, not that I'm trying to dispel it or anything else. You really don't defer anything. The cost is still gonna be there. Do I put the station here? Do I put the station in Kingston? Do I put the station in Epping? Do I backman the station when they go out? Because now I'm covering Epping, Kingston. We're all doing calls right now, either simultaneously or back to back, or you've got one here and they've got one over there, or vice versa, or we bang one back and forth. That's the only problem with the reason is the cost you might be able to cut down on equipment, you're not gonna cut down on expenses for
Well, the only
people.
problem is if you're short manpower,
It
sometimes
doesn't-
pooling might help.
Well, I'm getting ready probably to propose something to the chiefs in the area that see if we can't share the per diems back and forth, but right now, there's a shortage of those, just because of what's being hired in the state.
I think the biggest benefit to regionalization is that we stop stealing each other's people. How many people has Epping stolen from us? Like, if we're in a group that where everyone's paying the same amount of money, they have the same benefits, have the same everything.
Yeah, you could standardize the benefits and standardize that type of thing, but like I said, you're still gonna increase that manpower pool.
Oh, yes.
It's not gonna, you're gonna have to backman a station. Now, whether you do that or off the people that are actually coming back, and when you do that, that's all overtime. That's not straight time. So now you're taking guys that wanna come back, you put 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week coverage, I am surprised hasn't got it already, he should be at 24/7. With at least 2. You're never gonna do away totally with the call department unless you want to expand the amount of people you got in town. Because 2 people are not gonna cover a call, so even if I went 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with 2 people, you still need a call department. 2 people on an engine is not gonna put it out. Minimum manning on an engine is supposed to be 3. So you take an engine and you man an engine minimally, and then you man an ambulance with 2, there's 5 already. Standards to a building fire and not any call department around here's gonna meet it, with the exception of the mutual aid system. And Hampton's running into that now, they just spent $25,000 on a study to tell them exactly what they needed to do. Minimum manning at a house fire is supposed to be 16 guys within 8 minutes.
I think that if the people of Brentwood knew that we were 10%, like, if they call on the worst day of their lives and there was a 10% chance that we were gonna miss that call, I think.
Well, we're not missing a call.
No, I know,
But we're adding 10
You're
minute
adding
response
time to it. Andy can tell you, Andy can tell you.
10 minutes is a long time when you're waiting for help.
Yeah, and it could be longer than that at night. Andy can tell you how it used to go. It's gotten much better because they'll do a tone for me, they'll do a retone for me. Well, when they do the retone now, they're starting that mutual aid town. Now, assuming they've got people on, now you're waiting the extra 10 minutes for them to get to the station because they're not manned stations, and another 10 minutes to get here. So you're looking at my original, that 10, and then 10 more. You're looking at 30 minutes before you see an ambulance.
Can you tell me if this includes your mutual aid calls too? To other
Yes.
towns?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yes, it
So
does.
this includes you
This
doing
is,
other towns?
this is
and
us doing
that's
everything. That's not strictly for the town of Brentwood.
Okay,
I can look up that stat and tell you roughly where it's going back and forth, but they're here just as much as we're there. It's pretty much a shared system.
So the missed calls including the mutual aid calls you guys?
No,
got?
the missed calls, once I do a mutual aid call, no, they're a call period in town.
And then mutual aid picked up those calls?
Mutual aid picked up those calls,
Alright.
These,
yes.
these.
The
So-
40,
so in addition to the missed calls for 2020, what else are we asking the chief to do?
Probably 2019, because 2020 is gonna be a.
I can give you both, it's not a big deal, it takes me 10 minutes to pull that
And
up. once
what
we
the
do
other
it.
towns are doing in terms of compensation.
and then I would just be curious, how many of these calls are us going out to the mutual
They're
aid
not.
versus town?
They're not.
The 477, there's none mutual aid?
Oh, if you wanna know that too, you wanna know that stat? I can give you an
I
idea.
just wanna know, like, how many's for our town and how many's for us servicing other towns?
Okay, so
But that's part of the,
It's part of the mutual aid, but it'd be nice for me to understand, what did our numbers do? I just trying to, I'm looking at, like, in my mind, I'm figuring out pie graphs. Like, like, okay, we can handle this many calls in town this time, but we are doing this much mutual aid.
It's breaking pretty close to you.
And I'm thinking.
It's not as bad as
there's-
it used to be. We used to run Dappling all the time. He's doing better with his manpower over, well, I shouldn't say that.
With your
he's-
manpower, cause he hired you. It's our
Well-
staff that's over there.
Well, there again, I don't know what the attraction was, but sometimes the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence, he's going through some issues right now himself. And he's thinned out a few that have migrated that way and now moved on, so it's what looks good at the moment,
Joe, tell the board about the gentleman that took a job in Portland, Maine.
Oh, Brandon?
Well,
Yeah, he took a job in Portland, Maine. There again, 24 hours a day, 24-hour shifts. But he's running right now through a 9-week basic class recruit school that he's gotta get through. That Portland, I understand, runs on a pretty military stringent thing, so he's done several push-ups, burpees, and everything else at the moment.
Push-ups would be okay with burpees.
Yeah. And
thank you for
he's-
sharing that.
He's in his mid-30s, so that gives you an idea where they're looking even for staff up there.
I guess the final ask would be, I would love to see kind of a pie in the sky, what's gonna get us to 0 missed calls.
Pie in the sky?
4 more people,
Problem is
No,
you
more
can't
than
find
that.
people.
more than that?
No,
Well,
There's
four
177
would-
openings.
No, I know.
four is not gonna get you totally to it. Four would get you
yes.
squared away that you're missing less. I can't guarantee. If I'm doing a back-to-back call, if I'm doing one already in town and I need somebody else, hence the mutual aid coming, then, you're not covering the call.
Do you ever have to go to like Exeter or the bigger
I
towns?
haven't
like
been
Raymond or
there,
anything?
I don't know what happened to the relationship with Exeter, but we haven't been there in a while. We do occasionally. It's very rare. They have gone the union label with the exception of maybe one or two towns. Pretty much they do a union thing first. They do run a Kingston ambulance, and they do occasionally call for an Epping ambulance, and that all got started back when they had paramedics on. They don't have the paramedics on now that they used to have, but nobody's changed the run guide. So, I've been to Exeter probably 3 times in the last year, and then you listen to a couple of the other towns. Kingston, it's a straight shot down, and they do more in the homes over there, I forget what the name, Riverwoods.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They spend a lot of time in Riverwoods, so it's a straight shot for them to come down and handle the Riverwoods calls. It's very rare that they're somewhere else. They bang a fire, they're doing the Amesburys, the Salisburys, or the Amesburys, the Newburyports, the Hamptons, the union label departments.
Now Riverwoods, that's all assisted living retirement?
It starts out as the other side is cottages. You start out over there, they do have an assisted living, and then they've got a final care nursing home, all in the one system over there, so. But they'll run down. I can get those for you, give you an idea, but you've seen what I've proposed and what it would run just for the 2 at this time, so. Give you a heads up, then I can get you this information.
Yeah, it'll just help when we get to budget season of where we wanna move forward.
I can tell you right now, it's gonna be pretty lean. It is very lean for August, and I don't expect September to be much better as far as,
Well, I know in
Pretty ex-
2019 you had an issue because when people take vacations, just trying to fill those, and I
Yeah,
would
we
assume
did-
now
we
with things
did-
opened up, people
yeah,
are taking off.
we did much better with that, 2019, we did pretty well with 2020. I went a short time here covering the 12-hour shifts while I waited to get the full-time guy back in here, on his rotation. That's not ideal. There again, once you get to 3:30 in the afternoon, you don't have an engine driver in town if he's on with somebody else, because he doesn't have a CDL and he hasn't been cleared for the pumps yet. But that's what you're dealing with in order to get people through the door. There was a time they were requiring CDLs, they wanted paramedics, they definitely weren't letting you in the door without an advanced level certification, and now they're back, Hampton's doing it right now, they're taking basics. I don't know how the guy's gonna make it through their probation, but unless they loosen that up, because they had a pretty tight probation.
And I don't know how that works with, like, if they can't get part of the pension plan, I don't know how that would work. I don't understand.
They play games with it, there's somewhere around it, I'm not sure, it's not the first guy that's done it. But they do play around with it. I don't know whether the state has got them, I haven't looked, I know whether they let them do it in a year and allow them to do it that way or not. I'm pretty sure that's probably the way it works, because it happened in Epping for a while, that they were doing it. But now that, like I said, some of the full-time departments are doing it.
Well, I'm sure that people in the state office know exactly what's going on. If you have 177
Don't
openings.
get me started.
Well-
Don't get me started on the state.
I'm trying to ease your pain.
No, you're not gonna ease my pain. When you gotta go
Kick
through,
'em.
when you gotta go through a background check to get hired,
I understand.
and then you gotta go through a background check to get your license, that to me makes absolutely no sense when the 2 of them are sitting in the same office. And it literally comes out of the same office.
Okay.
You wanna talk about hungry for money, they want the 4850 is what they want in the coffers, because it's literally 2 sets of fingerprints, 2 applications to the same spot. And we'll make you wait 10 days.
And these are all probably retired firemen that are retired.
I don't know, no, I don't know who's working in the system, but, you know, they have got a big shakeup coming up at the fire academy. They are losing a lot of their key training personnel. They've turned over the head position. Justin Cutting, who's a retired deputy out of Hampton, has just been appointed director of that, and we're waiting to see what comes out of that. But I know they were losing a couple of people from EMS. The state went and screwed with that, that they, when they went limited everybody to that 28 hours extra, well, you lost a lot of the retirees that were teaching up there. They're going, not worth it for me. I don't need to be screwing with my pension in order to be keeping track of 28 hours. I understand why they did it. There was some people that screwed that system up, that walked away from big paying jobs to walk into big paying jobs with the state pretty much doing what they were doing for somebody else. So I understand why it happened, but it screwed the small guy at the bottom, as usual. Not real foresighted people up there. It's, you know, let's flash the pen real quick, and that takes care of that issue, but you create 6 others at the bottom that nobody really paid attention to. Hence, even when I took C2F2 to get into this, this was all done with union firefighters and everything else sat on the board, and then they were running through the C2F program. Well, guess what? You require me to be here 24 hours a day, you're gonna pay me for 24 hours a day. And the towns went, whoa, where did that come from? Well, read the union contract. So that went away real quick. They do run a recruit school, they run the recruit school in the spring, and they're filling that, but there again, they don't have the applications they've had. The CPAT program, they used to run it twice a year, 3 times a year, and ran 100 people a day through it. They're now down to 40 or 50 people a day. And out of that last set of classes, they're gonna run one more in September, but out of that last set of classes, they had 80 people. So you figure it out, 172 openings and 80 people made CPAT. So it's either lateral transfers or people that had made it in the past, but there's not a whole lot of choice. The CPAT's good for 2 years. So depending on who was left from the list. And it was unusual to flunk out of probation on a fire department. You had to be a real monkey in order to flunk out of probation. They're bouncing them left and right. And they're short help. So just to give you an idea what's going on with the system.
Any other questions for the chief? No. Well, we thank you.
You're welcome.
We don't envy you at all. Okay.
Make it worse, work the best I can, but as long as everybody's informed and there's no surprises and you guys know what's going on, and I'll do the best I can to fill it, but it's getting tough, and it's tough everywhere, we're not the only ones. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chief.
I see Wayne Robinson hiding in the back. Are you gonna talk to us about the Liberty truck?
Yeah, I called them up today, tried to find out what was wrong with it.
You can take the hot seat, chief.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Why don't we back up a little bit and
What do you want?
fill us all in on what the Liberty truck problem is?
Well,
Okay.
I talked to Mr. Robinson at the memorial service on Saturday, and I felt it was necessary that he should come in and explain it. I was on my way out the door when he grabbed me, and I had to, give him a real quick.
I'm good with that, I'm just,
All right,
Before he starts-
give us a skinny on the Liberty.
Okay, what happened is, we've been using the truck, and then last week we, been there the whole week, we didn't use the truck, we used the truck, backed it in the garage, and it sit there probably 3 to 4 days.
which truck is this?
It's a brand new one. Okay, and then we had the, tree company come, we were gonna use the truck to haul the trees with, so cause that truck there was all set, we got all the racks out of it and everything, so the guys went back to get the truck, and the truck wouldn't start. So they tried it for a few times and didn't start, so we didn't use it. The logging company brought their logging truck, and we took care of the trees that way with the logging truck. And then when we got done, we went back there. I went in there and I turned it over when we come back at night. I turned it over to see if it would start. It didn't start. So then I got out of the truck and I looked down underneath, and I saw fuel on the floor. I thought, oh boy. got fuel on the floor, crawled up underneath the truck, and all the fuel, it had sprayed the whole engine way up to the top. So I didn't know what it was. So I called Liberty. I asked them if they could send a tech down. I told them the problem that we had with the truck, with the fuel and everything, and if they could send a tech down to see if they could figure out what was wrong with the truck, because we didn't want to keep trying it. And he told me that they couldn't send a tech down, that I'd have to tow the truck and tow it to their place. So I said, okay, and then we didn't want to try it anymore, because we didn't know where the fuel was coming or anything. So I called Al's, the company down, Al Lambert had there, and they brought a wrecker up and they towed it up to Liberty. And I waited, so I went up there Thursday, and I didn't call him Friday, so I called him this morning to see it. I let it go yesterday because I didn't figure they'd get the truck right in there, because they probably had trucks ahead of us. So I called them this morning and asked them what, if they have found out yet what's wrong with the truck. And they told me that a fuel rail is broken in the engine.
I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure what it is myself. But I said, oh my God, I said, how much of a job is that? Well, I guess they gotta take the head off, and then they go from the top down into it to fix it. But he told me, the service guy that was talking to me, he said, you don't have to worry about it. He said, everything is under warranty.
So it's all covered?
What's that?
So it's all covered?
It's all covered.
With the exception of the tow.
Except for the tow. Well, they might pay for the tow.
Okay.
I was told today that I'm gonna have to call them back. I'm gonna see if they'll
Pick up the bill?
we'll pick up the bill. I'm not sure. They said Jeff was telling me that they should be picking up the toll. So I don't know how that works. But anyways, right now though, he told me they're waiting for parts. They don't know when they're gonna get the truck back to me, because they're waiting for parts, which that's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So we'll see
How
what
much did
happens.
we pay for this truck?
$176,000?
Is this the one that went start
No.
for a long time or not?
Oh, no, this
This
is
is
the
the
brand new one.
Okay.
Those two trucks are running pretty good now.
Because I remember you had one that would just shut off.
Yeah,
But-
no, that's all.
It's July 20th, I don't see any snow in the
Yeah,
forecast, so
yeah.
we shouldn't need the truck for a little while.
I have a claim right now where they can't get the
No, we got
HVAC
the other-
for 6 months.
We got the
Still.
other three trucks there that are running pretty good now, so.
Okay, good.
I mean, if I need to, we haven't taken the racks out of the back, but if we need one, we've been using the 550 most of the time anyway for stuff around town, so. Just wait and see what happens for the truck. I would say they probably, as soon as they get the parts, they'll get it back here pretty quick, so. Shouldn't be any problem.
Good deal. I appreciate you letting us know.
I sweated it all weekend.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I sweated it all the time. I said, oh no, what's wrong with that truck, that brand new truck?
I was thinking we should sue the suckers.
And just to let you guys do know, that the truck has got a little over 6,000 miles on it. And I called them back on to send it up for the service. I wanted to get it, it hasn't had its first service yet. And they told me not to send the truck up until it had 8,000 miles. And I did remind him this morning that that's what they told me, is anything to do with service, that you guys told me to hold off until I had 8,000 miles on the truck before I send it up there. But the guys, he didn't say anything about that, so.
Any other issues?
No. No, we got all the trees cut. I've used that whole line item, that's just about, I haven't got the bill yet, but, took care of all the big trees that we had to have cut, they're all down. And we finished those trees over to,
South Road.
South Road there. That one tree that broke off at the top, and that's gone.
I went over and we cut that down, took it right out of there, 'cause we didn't figure that at the top of it, the weight, if we got any snow or any heavy rain or wind, that might break off because it broke off at the top. So
Excuse me,
we,
go ahead.
we took it all down, it's not there no more. Other than that, should be all set.
Good deal, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
I think,
Have a nice vacation, Wayne.
Anything else? Do we have any questions or comments from the public?
I'd just like to speak with you, Mr. Christensen, when this is done. I was here a couple of weeks ago.
I remember you. Do you want to speak now?
No, I just would like to speak to you privately.
Is it about your assessment?
Yes,
Then it's an open forum. I would recommend that you do it now.
okay. Well, I'm back. I still feel that, you know, they said.
Chairman, could
you
you come up with the mic?
Yeah, would you mind taking a seat?
Do I have to?
Yes. Some of us are not hearing well.
Huh?
Huh?
Just so that the public can hear.
Yeah.
Okay. So, when I spoke last time, and then I got a hold of the person that deals with you, Mr. Tozier, he said, basically, he believed in the other guy's assessment. I told you, I don't feel I feel this guy took and compared my mother's condo to two other condos that were in better shape. And I went and looked around the complex, by the way, since I came in last time. And some of these condos have basement windows and some don't. So, and I don't know how much more room they might have, but he's basically saying, you know, you could go to court, do all this extra paperwork, it would cost you more to do that than to just, you know, deal with their assessment. But I just don't feel they did things fairly, and I don't understand when they say those two that they picked out of the blue were similar to my mom's, and I told you one of them had a finished basement. That guy incorrectly wrote that, said, well, similar to yours, and it doesn't have a finished basement. So it's like, how accurate was he in making his decision? And there's, as I said, my mom's condo, there's older ones and newer ones, and they're all assessed less. So, and they didn't accept abatement papers. I feel like I put the work in, and he was basically saying that, well, you know, you could fill out the paperwork and pay more, and it only cost you like $40 more a year, but why should my mom be paying more? And why is it assessed more than others when they're all, I mean, he's saying they're similar, but some of them have bells and whistles and some of them don't. So, I mean, I don't know whether that would make a difference if the assessment, he's not gonna change his mind.
Right.
Okay? Which means my mom has to pay more tax, even though other places, that company compared them to are a lot nicer. So, I mean, what do you think of this company, other than, you know, me coming in and saying this to you? I guess there was another gentleman that had a problem with them
Right,
too.
there was one other person.
Yeah,
Of course, they are professionals, they are certified, and they have to pass, be licensed by the state of New Hampshire. So, based on that, I believe that you're not gonna get any relief whatsoever.
okay. It just
I
seems
know, I'm
like
not
they didn't do
prepared
their
to offer
job. Yeah, it doesn't, I just feel like they picked two out of the blue. They didn't really look at it. I mean, in his short 2-sentence thing of why he denied it, and it was the same person who denied it.
Right.
I don't know whether they really looked at what I presented, you know, and I mean, if they're comparing it and they're inaccurately, whether they're professional and they're licensed to do that, inaccurately sending me, well, yours is similar to this and they don't have a finished basement, is like, okay, that's wrong in the first place, you know, that's not being accurate on his part.
Were we supposed to have a representative
I scheduled a meeting for a representative from KRT to come down to meet with some residents at that last meeting on July 5th or 6th. When Laura was here last, she said that she didn't want to attend that meeting, so I didn't schedule one there.
Okay.
The only other recourse further would be for her to file an appeal with BTLA, if that's what she
Yeah,
chose to do.
This, Mr. Tozier said that would cost more than the taxes, but I'm just saying, I don't know, I just don't understand whether they're permitted and licensed and all that, how they did this assessment. I just think it was inaccurate, and they didn't do the due diligence, and they're writing something inaccurately saying similar, when it's not.
The onus, when you file for an original abatement,
Yeah.
the onus is on the property and the taxpayer to prove that their assessment is disproportionate. So if all of the information that you submitted, if KRT doesn't believe that to prove that your assessment is disproportionate in comparison to the comps that you provided, then your recourse would just be to file that appeal at the BTLA.
Oh.
That is the option.
So at this point, there's not gonna be any movement in,
Yeah, I just, you know, I would have come, I can't afford to go through all this more, but I don't think that they did their job correctly on my mother's property. And if they really did, I mean, as I said, their letter of denial, 2 sentences, and it was inaccurate. So if they're accurate and they're permitted and licensed, shouldn't they be doing that? Shouldn't they be checking? You know, not just saying, oh, let's pick these 2, they were sold. They didn't really look at those properties. They wrote an incorrect information on their denial letter.
now, we have approximately 1,450 homes.
I understand that,
And
sir.
so far, you're one of 2 that objected. So, based on that information, I'm not ready to do anything but to say thank you for coming, and I do apologize that you feel the way you do. Is there any other comments from the board?
It's not, I don't,
It just
I
doesn't make
understand
sense.
what you're saying, and I do.
And I know you've been
I-
over to see our complex,
I
so,
empathize with what it is that you're going through. I
yeah,
think that the situation is that you had an opportunity to discuss it, you know, with the meeting that Karen was gonna set up, but you,
Yeah.
and you didn't wanna do that, which is fine, I think
Yeah.
that's your decision. We don't have the capacity, like, we're not professionals when it comes to, like, that's why we hire
yeah,
you have recourse, right?
yeah.
The recourse would be to have had that meeting face to face with those folks, or to go to BLTA,
No,
BTLA,
it's,
BLT.
I don't need to go through more.
Without the legislature.
But
Yeah.
not to make light of the situation, but what I'm saying is you have options, those options don't, at this point,
Yeah,
involve this board.
well,
It-
you might wanna know what I said, I know, I don't wanna come down here and bug you anymore about this, but my feeling, whether I'm only one of 2 licensed, they've done all their due diligence, but inaccurately on my mother's part, and I'm like, if I didn't do a presentation like the other gentleman did, but I think how much my mom's property was valued compared to others that are in better shape, have windows, have basements, have all these extra bells and whistles. I just don't know how they came up with what they had. It's sort of like, yeah, no, we're gonna just deny you. Okay, send in all the abatement papers, I did all the paperwork. Nah, just gonna deny you. Nah,
So,
you know, it just doesn't seem right.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
After your presentation last meeting, we had
Yeah.
asked Karen to review all the property taxes for Abbey and Windsor.
Mhm.
There is only a $22,000 difference between the lowest assessed and the highest assessed.
But my mom's is assessed high.
$22,000. That's not a huge difference that you're saying your mother's condo is way over assessed than somebody else's. We're talking $22,000. It's not an egregious error by somebody.
I just don't know where they came up with it if they're saying they're all similar, well, if they're all similar, why is this one 279,000, this one's 276, this one's 281, why?
One of the things that I know when you look at properties
Yeah,
is location within development too. So even in my own neighborhood, I
Yeah.
know there's a house that just sold for $775
oh,
in my neighborhood, and it actually has 900 square feet less than I have.
yeah,
Now, if somebody offered me $775, I'd probably be like, honey,
Yeah.
we're moving.
yeah.
I'd be the
yeah.
Clampets.
Well,
I'd
you're
be
ready to
citizen gold,
downsize
so-
anyway, Bob.
Where do you go?
Your kids are almost
But then
gone.
where do I go? So it might, and I don't know how, I know how your development is set up.
Yeah,
It depends on
Effingham,
where
that's where you would have
depends
to
on where
go
you're
to
set up, you know?
find
so-
a reasonable house.
So a $22,000 variable within that development are the ones that are closer to the road priced differently than the ones that are further in the back of the development? I don't know. And I'm not an assessor, so
yeah,
again, that would really be, what's the fair market value for them? And that's what the assessors look at. And it really depends on where you're positioned. Are they end units, center units, middle units? Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of variables. that
but
go
all
in.
the materials I presented were all end units too.
Right.
Yeah, so
If you're,
I
but if
I
you're
don't
gonna
want,
spend more time on it,
Yeah, no.
go to the process and be a,
yeah, no,
I'm
I
not-
just
I'm never gonna
know
do
whether I
this.
could come down here and speak to
BTO, I
you
think.
further about this.
Board
I
of
was
Tax and
just so
Land.
taxed from the last
Assessment.
time, it wasn't too much to go through.
Let me just explain. A single selectman has zero authority. The board, made up of the 5 or a quorum,
Mhm.
is where the authority is.
Okay.
So you speaking to one of us individually we would listen, but we would not be able to react.
Okay,
We have no other further comments
Okay.
for you.
it is what it is,
Yes,
and
and
hopefully
thank
if
you.
they do it next time, it's more even with the other groups and
Yeah,
other
no.
houses.
And I know we can only use certain approved vendors
That's
in the
correct.
state, so if what is it, KLS?
KRT.
KRT is.
It's not an
I'm
acronym
getting-
type
yeah,
thing.
I can't even remember it, sounds like Kermit. So if Kermit gets
Yeah.
picked again next time, it depends on who's on the list and who they choose, cause every 5 years, it's like we have to do it legally, every 5 years.
No,
we're
I,
gonna do
I
evaluations.
understand all the rules and all that, it's just, I just don't feel they were fair. But,
Thank you again.
okay, have a nice evening. I don't have to stay and listen to
No, you
everybody
may
else.
leave if you
Okay,
wish.
have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Any other comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Bill Freya from South Road, I think you, 209 South Road, yeah,
Okay.
where the radar gets set up a lot. Anyway,
That's 'cause
I
they
was
had two
encouraged
people
to
do
to
9.
hear, the fire chief, I intended to address the board. I think you all know that I'm not a big fan of huge hourly increases for employees and so on, and I think reasonable increases are fine. I have heard through the grapevine that our wage structure is rather low, which contributes to how we can't contain or retain personnel in the fire department. And I would encourage the board to consider, and I know the chief's gonna get you some more information, I think we need to increase the hourly wage to keep people here. And I know what he said tonight was that he's very happy with the per diems, and that's great. You know, I don't wanna step on Joe's toes. I think he could man the department with 4 full-times, and you can include him as one of the 4, so he needs 3 full-times, and then per diems. And he needs to have at least 4 more per diems. And
Well,
by
problem
the
is
way,
we're short
I will
3.
tell you this, we're losing money when we miss those ambulance calls. He could easily pay for whatever increase he needs to make to keep people on board by just making the ambulance calls that we miss.
Well, an individual ambulance call can go anywhere from $750 to $1,500 a
Yeah,
month.
so averaging $1,000 every time we miss one, I think he could easily justify increasing the wages for those people and keep, that's just kind of pulling it out of the sky, but I think he'll give you more information as you go.
Oh, yeah.
I would urge the board to consider supporting an increase in the hourly wages.
Well, I believe you were here when I suggested maybe we should consider an increase.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I want to encourage you to do that.
Okay.
Well, I think one of the things that we also found out is he's short 3 per diems
Yeah.
when he has 4, so that's huge. I mean, you're missing
Oh
bodies.
yeah, he's missing a lot.
And if there's 177, I think he said in the state, open
Right.
positions,
Open.
that's massive. And it's kind of like the PD, I think, when we went through the staffing with the PD, there were 78 openings just in the county.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of open
I was
positions.
also encouraged to hear Andy reference the regionalization. I had addressed that.
Well, he does that every 10
I had
years.
addressed that.
Or the master
We could
plan.
probably save a substantial amount of money on equipment for sure,
Right,
and
yeah.
about personnel, but maybe we could stop people from raiding us all the time too. So anyways, that's all, for what I was here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Elizabeth?
Liz Faria, South Road. I,
209 something.
209 and a half.
I,
She lives on the other side.
I wanted to ask, about whether the PD is staffed fully.
Yes.
Because I know that it is staffed fully, but yeah, we still have overtime in the PD. I was a little.
Well, that's because of
Is that
vacations.
vacations? Okay. I mean, granted, it's, 11 and not, 60, but.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's fully staffed, which is how many and how many full, how many part? 6 and 5, or 6 and 4?
6 and 5.
6 and 5?
Mhm.
6 full-time, 5 part-time now?
Any others? Well, thank you all for coming, I appreciate it.
We have non-public?
No.
No non-public, so
I thought I had one for non-public.
I'll entertain a
Health
motion to
officer inspection.
adjourn.
Remember we had to talk about that for reputation?
No.
I don't remember, but I'm sure you're right.
Remember I gave you a form that you had to send in?
Oh, yes, I remember
Okay.
now.
Motion to go into non-public in accordance with 91A, 311, A, B, C, D, E, and I.
We'll have a roll call vote, all in favor?
He needs a second first.
You'll
Is it a roll
second.
call or is it not a roll call?
It is a roll call, but he needs a
It's the other
second
roll
first.
call vote.
You have a second?
Second.
Now, can we have a roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you once again for coming.